Thank you, and I too would like to thank everybody for being here. This is really a great venue for something like this, comfortable seats. If we get boring, you can watch a movie, I guess. I'm Ron Mendive, and I represent District 5. This is my 13th year, the beginning of my 7th term, which is amazing to me that I'm still there, and I think we're still relevant. It's important work, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to serve you guys. I chair the Resources and Conservation Committee in the House, and I'm on the Education Committee. I've been on that committee my whole tenure there, and I also serve on Agricultural Affairs. And I appreciate the system, because we all wind up with committees, and we all have different backgrounds, different abilities, and so basically the process finds the people for the committees where they are the most relevant. So it's actually, and then we fight it out, and so it's actually pretty amazing. Sometimes it's messy, but it's quite a system. Senator Taves mentioned House Bill 93, and that I was basically exposed to the idea of parental choice in education 12 years ago in Salt Lake. And at that time, there were a senator and a representative from Arizona who had passed basically an education savings account, which is what they called it at that time, in their state. And Florida had also done some cutting-edge things. And at that time, I thought, this is really something that could help to reform education, because as we keep spending more money on education, but the test scores do not reflect gain on our investment there. So I think this, by introducing choice into the situation and recognizing each child is unique. We're all created differently. We all have different abilities. And so to find the path that fits the individual child in their career, their education career, on into their work career is the greatest thing we can do in the education system. A few years ago, and this has been a long process, this House 93, this is a big deal. There have been a number of us, we've been working on this for all this time, and finally, a perfect storm, and we got the legislative members on both sides of the aisle, and on both sides of the rotunda, I guess, not the aisle necessarily, but to get this through. And I will make a point here. 5 years ago or so, we had an education savings account bill in the House, and we got it through the House with 47 votes, which is pretty good, really, for something that controversial at the time. But it died in the Senate. It did not get a hearing in the Senate. But in that debate then, I made a point, and I've not heard anyone make this point in the argument about one of the reasons that we need to find the right pathway for kids in school. And basically, you're a young child, you're 4 or 5 years old, life is good, you're fooling around the house, you play, you do this, you do that, and all of a sudden this fateful day comes. And your parents tell you, well, you're going to thank me for this someday, but you're going to school. And life changes. And I would guess, and I kind of play with numbers, but I would say about 70% of those kids that go off to school, it works well for them, it's successful, and they go on and do great things. There is a percentage that it doesn't work for. And this is the point that I made, and I've not heard anybody, like I said, I've not heard anybody make this, so I'm going to make it here. What we do is we say, well, this is the system. So we try to fit everybody into this, take a shoehorn and fit them into this classroom, and not everybody fits. Some of them need to blow off steam in the middle of the school day, different things, different learning styles, all different things. So anyway, we put them in this thing, and so if they don't conform, what do we do as parents, as the adults in the room? We say, well, you might have ADD, or even worse, ADHD, and this is serious stuff. So, well, we drug them. So what do? We send a message to all our young people that if you don't fit in society or into whatever, and that's basically as young people go through adolescence, people are confused, there are all kinds of issues, and so we tell them that we can make you fit into the system with drugs. So why should we now be surprised that we have such a drug problem in this state? Because we have actually sold that as a solution, and it's on us. We need to fix that. We need to change that. So this is something that actually parents they know their child the best, and they can actually find the path that works best for their child. And I've been in support of this for a long time. I would have thought after I was down Salt Lake when I was exposed to this, well, Idaho should be able to lead in this. And unbeknownst to me at the time, a number of states have done things similar to what we've done now with House Bill 93. But Idaho's not leading, but at least we're getting there. So that is an accomplishment, and I'm really grateful for that. A couple other things. Property taxes. When I went down there, property taxes bothered me a lot. And we did pass meaningful property tax reform, House Bill 304. And that is $100 million a year ongoing for property tax reform. What I personally would like to have done was take the property tax off on your home, your personal home. Now, if you get a homeowner's exemption on a home, then pay no property taxes on that, raise the sale tax by a penny, and then take that out of that. There's a lot of pushback on that. Businesses are afraid that it will be a tax shift and they'll be taxed more. But I hate that tax. It's a tax on an unrealized capital gain. So you own your house, you buy it, you pay $20,000. 10 years later, it's worth $150,000 or $200,000, $300,000. So you pay tax on that amount, but you have not increased. Your income hasn't increased. Nothing's increased. So basically, you're being taxed on money that you won't ever see if you don't sell the house. And if you do sell the house, then you gain that. And if that's the case, then fine, then charge the tax at that time. So that bothers me a lot. I found out that other people working on this, I talked over with all the tax people down there, it would take a 1.5% sales tax increase to cover this, and there just was not a lot of interest in it at this time. So I still haven't given up on that. I think there again, it's taxes, well, I hate taxes, but that is a particularly bad one as far as I'm concerned. And one other thing, as chairman of the Resources Committee in the House, we just had a bill go through, and I'm pretty sure it's going to go all the way, and it was House Bill 389. And basically what this does is it says that if a fire starts on federal land and the federal government does not move to put the fire out, the state will. The state takes the lead now on private property, on everything else in the course of fires. We've had horrific fires throughout the last number of summers, and it's taken a toll on the state, and it creates damage far beyond what the initial, because it destroys watersheds, it does a lot of things. And so this bill says that the state Department of Lands, if the federal government doesn't move, they will move. They'll move to put the fire out, and their goal is to keep all fires below 10 acres. And they've done a pretty good job. They've been very effective. They're one of the agencies that reports to my committee, so that we hear all the reports on what they're doing on fire. They're doing a good job. And so and then after the fire is out and whatever, then if necessary, the Attorney General will sue the federal government to try to recover the money for fighting the fire on their property. But I think that's a really big bill. It's an important bill, and hopefully we'll get somewhere with that. And with that, I'd like to thank you once again for coming, and I'll pass it on to my seatmate.